Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm here today with our team from the Department of State, including the Deputy Secretary of State, Agogo Adeviye, and our Senior Advisor, Hester Wheeler, as well as DTE Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer, Joanne Chavez, and Miller Canfield Principal and Pro Bono Counsel, and Detroit Resident Director Wendy Richards. There you are. And we also have the City of Lansing Mayor Andy Shore with us. So we're all here today at the Mackinac Policy Conference to announce the growth and the success of a true public-private partnership, the Road to Restoration program. So this helps Michiganders regain their driver's licenses. It helps Michigan businesses find qualified employees, and it strengthens our state's economy. So in 2021, changes to our state laws lifted driver's license suspensions for more than 150,000 Michiganders who had failed to pay court fees or appear in court for many non-moving or other vehicle violations. So this was a step in the right direction for Michigan's economy, but a lot more work was needed for us to fully realize the full economic impact, and that's where our department came in. We recognized that the vast majority of the 150,000 Michiganders needed to take more action to actually regain their driver's licenses. It wasn't enough to just pass the law. We had to do more as a state, and we had to help citizens navigate the courts and fines of multiple jurisdictions, which can be a complicated and convoluted process, especially for lower income residents who don't have access to an attorney. So that's why our offices reached out to the partners here with me today, as well as the Department of Attorney General, United Way, and the Detroit Justice Center to create the Road to Restoration program. And that has helped thousands of Michiganders begin and in many cases finish the process of regaining their driver's licenses and getting back on the road safely. At our Road to Restoration clinics throughout the state, our staff and volunteer attorneys provide expert one-on-one assistance navigating each individual's case, as well as immediate access to driving records and other Secretary of State office services. In total, we've recruited more than 100 attorneys to volunteer their time and expertise free of charge to ensure Michiganders understand exactly what they need to do to restore their driver's licenses. So we're here in part today to ask for more help from other attorneys all across our state to be a part of this program because it has had enormous impact on the people and the families that we all serve. Once individuals regain their licenses, they can get to and from their jobs, they can get better jobs that require them to drive, and they can do countless things that so many of us take for granted, including driving their kids to school or to doctor's appointments. The program also boosts Michigan's economy. In fact, if just a third of the 150,000 people eligible to regain their licenses were to purchase vehicles, they would increase state revenues by approximately $300 million in the next decade. And that's just by paying state fees and gas taxes. So these Michiganders, on our help getting them back on the roads, could actually generate millions more in additional economic activity once they drive to and from any restaurant or shopping center they please and gain or improve their employment. So that's why we're here today, to highlight this tremendously successful public-private partnership and to ask for more partners to be a part of this really critical effort. In fact, the strength of our program is actually making national headlines. We've heard from officials in Hawaii, Georgia, and Kansas about replicating this program to support residents in their states, because this is how we actually make government work better for citizens, by meeting people where they are and delivering services that they need to get along with their day and to be part of a growing economy. At the same time, our program is growing. This year, we're going to visit additional communities all throughout the state, from residents in Detroit to residents in the UP and Marquette and Houghton to the west side of the state to all throughout the central part and the upper part of Michigan and its lower peninsula. We're going to visit communities and residents all across our state, including through the launch of 2 additional mobile Secretary of State branch offices, which also play a critical role in meeting people where they are and helping them access services of our Road to Restoration clinics. So that means, in addition to all these clinics, we're going to have 2 existing mobile offices that serve Southeast Michigan, one in Mid-Michigan and one in West Michigan, as well as one in the Flint, Saginaw, and Bay City region, and another up north based out of Gaylord. So the Gaylord Mobile Office will immediately serve the Road to Restoration program by participating in clinics we're hosting in Traverse City and Alpena this August. And before the summer is out, we'll have an additional mobile office in our fleet that will be based in the Upper Peninsula to ensure that you don't just have access to our services by physically going to branch offices, but our mobile offices will meet citizens where they are all across the state. And our Road to Restoration clinics similarly will meet citizens and deliver services to them. All the mobile offices also serve senior centers, homeless shelters, rural areas, and other communities with limited internet access. And like the Road to Restoration clinics, they are just another way we are making government work for every Michigander. But we do not do this work alone. The work we do is always in partnership with our friends in communities all across our state. And I'm grateful for the collaboration of the partners here with me today and many others who make the Road to Restoration program the successful job creator and economic development engine that it is. That's one of the reasons we're highlighting the program here at the Mackinac Policy Conference. It's successful because it's a public-private partnership, and it engages business leaders, local leaders, and attorneys all across the state to make it happen. So we're here seeking additional partners. Businesses and other organizations can join this initiative in a myriad of ways, including helping to pay court fines and fees for those restoring their licenses, or providing free or affordable transportation options to people who want to attend the clinic. Often, court fees and fines are the only things standing in the way of a Michigander getting their license back. And when partners commit to paying those fees, like Mayor Shore of City of Lansing did, it significantly increases the number of people who can get their licenses restored. And in this way, partners make low-income, safe drivers on the road legally, making an immediate impact on the resident and their family and bolstering Michigan's economy. The partners who are also here with me today have seen firsthand, and it's an extraordinary thing to see, clinic after clinic, how lives are changed when we make government actually deliver for our citizens. So I'm going to invite them now to share some of their stories and tell you a bit more about how each of them went above and beyond as a partner to this program to ensure it's successful. Up first, I want to invite DTE Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer Joanne Chavez.
Thank you, Secretary Benson. It's been such an honor to be a part of the Road to Restoration program at DTE. One of our critical aspirations is to be a force for growth in our communities that we serve, and we feel that this is one of those barriers that we can help remove. When we think about Michigan, we want to make sure that it is an inclusive economy, an economy that will allow all of our residents to achieve their best. And while many of us probably take for granted a driver's license, what I know from the work that I've done at several of the clinics, as well as my work in the Hispanic community, is that that barrier limits not just that individual, but an entire community. Oftentimes we fail to appreciate the multiplier impact when one person in a household does not have this license. I think the other thing that I realized when I sat through one of the sessions in Ypsilanti is that these are good human beings. This is not about people that are notoriously bad. This is about people who make mistakes. I can guarantee that when I look across this crowd, many of you have had tickets, many of you have had fines, yet we have had the ability to repay that quickly because of the blessings we've been given. So I cannot stress enough that I think these are the important tools and barriers that each company needs to help remove, whether it's through the volunteerism that my team and my office is doing, and your potential teams could do, or as Secretary Benson mentioned, contributing so that we can eliminate the court cost and fines. I just think this has been one of the best experiences, and again, I don't often see the partnership between private and public works so effectively, and so for that I'm just honored. The DTE has been able to play a pivotal role and will continue to play that role. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate your partnership, and as you can see, the passion as well that you bring to this. It makes a big difference, and it changes people's lives. So thank you for your continued support. I want to now invite Wendy Richards, who's the principal of Pro Bono Council and Detroit resident director from Miller Canfield of Detroit.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I just want to echo what Joanne Chavez just mentioned about, we cannot stress enough, these are not really poor drivers. They're often people who are really suffering from poverty and have had tremendous barriers to access to justice in their lives. So the attorneys that volunteer for this program, our job is to kind of bridge that gap, to make sure that they can navigate the legal system in a way that makes sense for them, to kind of alleviate some of their anxiety and get them on that road to restoration. Because as Secretary Benson mentioned, it often is the court fines and fees that are outstanding that are keeping them in the way. So for the person who maybe didn't have a driver's license, was taking care of their grandmother and was pulled over, for the person who was too afraid to go to court when they got the ticket because they've seen the system kind of really hurt some of their family members and they're just nervous about it and don't know what to do. We can walk them through that process step by step. As mentioned, we've had hundreds of people sign up for this to volunteer, 100, and they often come back for repeat visits because it's so rewarding to see someone get on that path. So we definitely encourage all law firms and corporate counsel offices to volunteer time. It's really quite easy and incredibly impactful. It's only a few hours of your day, but it can truly change someone's life if it means that they can be able to get on the road, get to work, take care of their families, get to school, and just have that burden alleviated from them. So we really encourage you to consider volunteering. You can volunteer on the website. I will say there is really, it's not just Miller Canfield that's been involved. It's been plenty of firms around the state. We've had a road show. We go all over. So consider, even if you're not in the Detroit area, to be a part of this. I will also mention that there is nothing better than hearing the bell ring at one of these clinics. When you hear the bell ring, that means that at that site, someone actually got their license back. It is very rare in the legal profession that you see that sort of immediacy within a couple hours of getting the relief that you want to see. When you hear that bell, it's the most gratifying thing. So, but that bell often means that someone needs to clear up fines and fees from the court, which means they do have need for financial assistance that we're hoping that others will consider contributing to this project. Like I mentioned, please consider volunteering. It's on the website, and we are so grateful. Miller Canfield is so grateful to have been a part of this exciting project. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate the tremendous assistance that you're providing Michigan residents. And finally, I want to invite Lansing Mayor Andy Shore to speak about how you have really supported the program in extraordinary ways.
Thank you. Well, first I want to thank the Secretary. What an incredible program. It's not usual in government where you say we're going to do something and it happens immediately and has an immediate effect. This is unique and rare, so thank you for your leadership. In 2019, the city of Lansing was chosen along with a variety of other cities nationally: Durham, Baton Rouge, Nashville, St. Paul, all major cities like the city of Lansing. We were selected by the National League of Cities for a program called Cities Addressing Fines and Fees Equitably, or CAFE is what we call it. Everything is shortened. But it's important that we understand, most of the time, if somebody isn't paying a debt they owe and they're not disputing it, they're not paying it for a reason, especially if paying that debt would do something as impactful as restore their driver's license. But generally, they don't pay it because they don't have enough disposable income to do so. It's not because they choose not to. So for this CAFE project, City of Lansing pulled data for all past due ordinance violations in our 54A district court. We actually hired a PhD candidate in economics from MSU, or Michigan State University, as our research partner. And we identified the top charges that result in unpaid debt. And it turns out, of the top charges, 3 were income tax related, 2 involved substance use, and 2 were parking related. So where we chose to focus was no proof of insurance and driving while license suspended, which were the 6th and 7th most common charge. But we did that because neither charge involves a driver committing a driving offense. So you heard from Miller Canfield, you heard from others that many of these are not offense related, and they can be easily cleaned up. So again, these 2 charges were entirely from a financial inability to pay. So we found about 2,000 cases with past due balances for driving while license were suspended. And I'll point out 70% were male, 61% were black, and 49% were under 30 years old. So our Office of Financial Empowerment got to work. They came to me, and as we got $49 million in ARPA, which was a godsend, a blessing. We could pay back all of our COVID expenses, but we had a little extra. And they said, if you provide us $102,000, we can solve this issue for City of Lansing residents. They told me there were about 600 people with about $155,000 in debt standing between them and a legal driving license. And after cleaning the data, they figured about $102,000 would be enough. So our team got with our courts. They had weekly meetings. Their criminal and traffic manager connects with our financial empowerment whenever someone qualifies, and we put them right into the system. So what came next? Next came the Secretary of State and her incredible staff, and I mean that because they were incredible in Lansing. We partnered with the Secretary of State's Road to Restoration events, one last October and one just last month in June. And at that event, my team was there with 2 city credit cards. And it told each participating court to simply send the Lansing residents over to their table if the thing standing between them and their driver's license was money. How about that? We're actually going to pay off these debts. By the second event, my team partnered with Keela Crane and her team and set it up so the city could run a tab with the Department of State. And it was wildly successful. And I can't even explain to you the joy in the eyes of the people who were there at Cooley Law School and seeing that they can clean up their debt, they can be productive members of society, getting that driver's license, that one thing that they did not have, and how it can change their lives. And I want to add that when it came to the attorneys, they were like over the moon excited to be able to help these folks. The attorneys were incredible. We had the president of Cooley Law School there just sitting at a table, helping out people. I went over and thanked him. You know, you're an important guy. He was like, I'm just here helping people out. I'm an attorney too. But again, the secretary's team was incredible, and our team worked with them. The partnerships between private and public, both stateside and city side, were great. I want to stress again, these are not bad people, right? We didn't open this up to those with domestic violence or weapons charges or substance abuse that are less than 5 years old, things like that. We set this up for those who really were affected because of poverty, as you've heard. We actually have heat maps. My director of financial empowerment was so excited, Madam Secretary, that I'm part of this event. She sent me this morning at like 5 a.m. our heat maps, which show, and I can send it to any member of the media, which show like literally the lower income areas of the city and how they were getting their licenses restored, and they match up. This isn't like we think so. This is like data driven, which is so important in our business to make sure that we're spending the taxpayer dollars in the right way. So I'm proud that Lansing is leading the way. I definitely think that other communities should do the same thing. Of course, we all have budget problems, but as you navigate ARPA dollars and the immense amount of federal funds coming from the federal government, this is a priority. This is where you want to put your money, and working with the Secretary of State's Road to Restoration is the perfect avenue to do it. So thank you everyone out there, and I appreciate you highlighting Lansing.
Thank you, Mayor Shore. I really appreciate it, and great service you provide your residents, employers, local businesses, and it's great when the data shows you're actually changing people's lives and matches up with the impact we want to have, so thank you. And it's the impact that I think lawmakers, when they passed this, wanted to have as well, and we're really proud to see lawmakers here today and recognize the importance of ensuring that the laws that we enact actually come to fruition in a way that has tangible benefits for the people of Michigan. So I'm now going to open the floor to any questions from the media, and we'll also say that more details from the Road to Restoration program, including our upcoming clinics, are available at michigan.gov/road to restoration. Thank you. Questions? Yeah, David. Hey. Yeah. Do we have that number? 52,000 from the clinics. Hundreds others have gotten their license back after the fact. So 52,000 at the clinics themselves have attended the clinics. Hundreds. Okay. Well, we can follow up and get you the specific numbers. But again, so 52,000 have attended the clinics over the last year. 5,200 have attended the clinics over the last year. Thank you, Jake. We'll get you all the numbers. But But we've just launched this program, which is the point. Like, we have launched with these partners. We've done about 24 clinics all throughout the state. And now with the additional mobile offices, we want to really expand and extrapolate these results with other partners like mayors, other partners in the legal world, and other partners in the business community to make this real for those 150,000.
What are the vast majority of offenses that are being forgiven?
They're oftentimes just parking fines and other types of things that are not related to an ability, as was stated, any sort of criminal activity, but more just sort of civil violations and infractions that once you don't pay, multiply and can lead to someone losing their license.
So given that, what is the effectiveness of those parking fines to begin with?
Well, certainly, that's a good question. Certainly, there is a deterrent effect of wanting to make sure people are, and we want to respect the need of complying with local parking regulations as well. And I think people often learn their lesson when they lose their license as a result of an infraction that, frankly, as was said earlier, many people attending this conference, many business leaders themselves have probably dealt with, but were able to pay right away and not deal with the very harmful and oppressive effect of court fines and fees that don't get paid and then multiply and lead to someone losing their license. And again, this is just simply the law has been enacted to enable these individuals to get their license back and restore their license, but it's oftentimes not just access to capital, but access to the legal knowledge of how to navigate through the system that is needed to get from here to there. And that's what we're trying to provide.
I can address that if
Yeah,
you want.
go for it.
Well, I was going to ask you about you had said about the amount of people who have lost that were driving suspended. Do you happen to know the number of people who were driving suspended that had their license suspended because of a DUI, or what the cause was?
Yeah, we don't with those we didn't include that in the numbers here because those are not the ones we're paying to get their license back. If somebody if someone was involved with a DUI, certainly there's a ramification for that. But I laughed when you asked about why have parking fees. I had a meeting in Old Town, Lansing, about 2 weeks ago, and it was the whole meeting for about 2.5 hours. I welcome you to sit through any of those meetings. Certainly, any of the small business folks at the conference here will tell you it's very important if you have a 2-hour or 3-hour limit for parking enforcement so that customers will roll through. That being said, there are certainly going to be some people who don't pay those tickets, some people who get booted, your car can get towed, now you can lose your license, and now you start that downward spiral. So here we're helping out some of those folks to get out of that spiral, but like the Secretary said, they learned their lesson. They're not going to do that again. It is tremendously important that we're able to serve our economy, but then again, you don't want to throw people into a downward spiral, and losing a license is part of that downward spiral.
All right, thanks. Any other questions? Yeah. It varies depending on the infraction and the length of time and the number of fines and court fees. It can range anywhere from hundreds to 1,000. And we haven't done a full extrapolation of all those costs, but I'm sure we can do some, get you some data on that. Yeah. And, we're, to date, we've done 23 clinics in 14 communities. And so, noting that this is, again, really just the beginning of what we see happening all across the state, and with partners in the legislature has really made it possible to expand this. And so our purpose here today is to say, we've got this program, we've seen it work, and now we want to expand it. And we want to reach all 150,000 of those residents and want to ensure we can, if not support the financial needs they have, certainly help them navigate through the court system and any additional support they may need legally to get from where they are to being able to drive back on the road safely. It varies depending on the infraction. It can be very quick and can be instant, as you hear when the bell rings on an actual clinic. Some people actually leave with their licenses, and some people, it takes a little bit of time. So we're more about just kind of actually connecting with people as they come in and then helping to see what they need to get back on the roads. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others, but we try to move it as efficiently as possible. michigan.gov/road to restoration. That lists both the clinics we already have, the ones already scheduled, and as I mentioned, we also have mobile offices now, 5 of which will be in the field in the coming months to serve residents all throughout the state of Michigan and ultimately up in the Upper Peninsula with both these and other services. All right, thank you all for being here today. Thanks and enjoy this wonderful weather. Thank you. Yeah.
Pleasure to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you.